everyone, it is me again with another You're My Hero Academia Life. This is part 2. So, if you hear something in the background, just try to ignore it. I don't know how to reduce background noises. So let's start. It's been a week since the exam ended. You lived in a small house with a living room, kitchen, and one bathroom. You slept on the couch. However, you were more than satisfied with that, because when you left, you assumed that you would sleep on the street because you had almost no money. Ding dong! You're reading a book when you hear the doorbell. You quickly get up and went to the door to see that letter on the floor. That must be it. A letter from UA. Keiko said. Do you think I'm accepted? You asked Keiko. Of course you did. It's not tooth. It's not tooth. It's not tooth. Hang on for a little bit, guys. I'm recording the video. It's not tooth, by the way. Okay, I'm back. Let's start from here. Do you think I'm accepted? You asked Keiko. Of course you did. You had 109 points. Way more than any average kid up there. Plus, you destroyed the big guy, which must have impressed them. Keiko said optimistically. If I mess up on a word, that's okay. I told you there was no need to worry. You told her, remembering the day of the exam, when you were the only one slowly walking towards the enemies, even though Keiko kept telling you to hurry up. But you only won because I helped you, she answered. Well, I expected your help, Keiko. Now, let's see what it says, you said. You sat down at the kitchen table and carefully opened the letter, which contained a small round object. Huh? What is this? You asked as you studied the item carefully. As soon as you put the object down on the table, to see if there was anything else in the letter. You were surprised by the projection. The video in question was All Might. May, I must congratulate you on your excellent performance in both the written, where you had only 3 mistakes in the practical exam. That way you used quirks surprised me and amazed me. You have a lot of potential, and I'm glad that you will attach to the academy. There's more I'd like to tell you, but I've been told to be quick. This is enough for now. Congratulations. You proudly listened to his every word. After the projection turned off, you smiled and looked down at your hands. You were shaking. From a young age, you were frustrated because none of your successes were achieved by your power. Either you did it using dead people or using one of the quirks they gave you in the base. But even so, you were proud. You remembered the words Keiko had told you years ago. You were nothing without these quirks, but your ability to use them alone makes you worth having them. You may not have been born with them, but they are part of you now. That's what she said. Now you felt it was true. I passed, yay. Of course I passed. Yay. Even though it was dark, you decided to go to the beach, hoping if someone quiet and a nice view to relax and think about everything. People looked at you strangely on the way there, but you got used to it. You had long white hair. One of your eyes was yellow and the other red. You also had cat ears and a tail. So of course, you get some weird looks. When you arrive at the beach, you saw Midoriya. All Might! He shouted, running towards the man. All Might? He looks a bit like him, but the body structure is completely different. Or, you remembered what Kato had told you when she first talked to you. She said that All Might's organs were damaged in some operations, and that's why he can't fight all day. You weren't sure if what you were thinking was correct, since Keiko was really bad at explaining things, but it was the only answer you could come up with at that moment. I was wrong, though, Midoriya shouted, as he realized that some people nearby had heard that All Might was there. You rolled your eyes and listened intensely at their conversations. You don't have cat ears and a tail for no reason. That's weird. Cat? You have cat ears and a tail? You can do everything a cat can, including the ability to jump high, the ability to always land on your feet, and a great hearing. You have one weakness. You're attracted to new things. You picked up your ears and listened to them. Congratulations on passing the exam, All Might said and raised his hand. Midoriya high-fived him and replied, Thanks a lot. Just so you know, I didn't tell anyone at school, All Might said vaguely. What is that? You mumbled. You think your whole situation is unfair at the other students, don't you? I haven't made the final judgment, All Might explained. Cheating? Why? And what judgment? You muttered. Thank you for your concern, Midoriya said happily. But I was surprised to hear you teach at the academy. He continued talking. You already knew that, so you don't care. That's why you came here, right? I mean, your agency is whatever that says. Ropon Aja Minato Ward, Tokyo. He spoke carefully. Stop it, replied All Might. I wasn't supposed to tell anyone until the school announced it, but your ears perked up, even though that I happened to be offered a job at UA. While I was looking for someone to give my power to give him his power. Do they also know a way to change his quirk? How? You are confused. Your body snapped after a punch and jump. I can't control the strength at all, Midoriya said. Disappointingly, it remained you of the day of the first got your new fad. You wanted to go there and confront him, but you knew it was a bad idea. There's nothing I can do about it. Such a thing has happened to the person who has suddenly became stronger, he said. Wait a minute. You know this was going to happen, Midoriya asked, confused. Well, there wasn't time to explain, but it all ended well. But now, you're either using 100% power or 0. But when you gain full control, you'll be able to adjust the power. He answered him. To control? He asked. The longer you train, the more you'll be able to control your strength. Just like this, he said, returning to his fighting form and crushing the can. It really is All Might, you muttered. Let's go, young Medora, he said when he realized some people recognized him. In the instant, he and Medora ran. You followed them, hoping they wouldn't see you. So Medora and All Might split up. Nothing was clear to you. And before you knew it, you were in front of All Might. You couldn't help yourself but decided to ask him what just happened. All Might? You should have as you approached him. Oh, young May, how can I help you? He answered. What did you and Medora talk about, you asked? Nothing special. It's just I was just congratulating him on passing his exam, he said nervously. I see. And then why don't you come to congratulate me, you asked. Well, because he stuttered, thinking of what to say. You cut him off, pointing to your cat ears. I have them for a reason, he said and smiled kindly. How much did you hear? He asked you seriously. All. You answered quickly and without removing the smile from your face. I see, he said. Don't worry, your secret is safe with me, but I'd like you to tell me what it is. Of course. My quirk is called One for All. It's a quirk that is inherited and passed from person to person. I decided to give it to Medora, he explained. I see. You were lying. You roughly understood what it was about, but you were still very interested in how he transfers it to Midoriya. Please don't tell anyone about this, he asked you and you just nodded. I'm not that type. Of course I won't. Of course I won't. On the way to school, you met Midoriya. Hi, May, he greeted you happily. Hi, you answered. You remember the day you eavesdropped on his and All Might's conversation? You know, Midoriya mumbled. He wanted to tell you something. That you looked at him. It's nothing. You said he said and gave a small laugh. You knew he was hiding something, but you decided not to question him. Alright. May, I heard you destroyed one of those big robots with... I'm restarting now. May, I heard you destroyed one of those robots without a single scratch, he said. I did, but you destroyed one of those too, didn't you? You asked. Yes, but I broke my arm and both legs after that, he said disappointingly. True, but a robot didn't do it to you, you said. Unfortunately, it wasn't there to see. I wasn't there to see it with my own eyes, but from what I heard, it was your quirk that hurt you, not the robot, you explained to him. I guess so. One day, you will become an excellent hero, you said and smiled. First, he looked at you confused for a few seconds, and then smiled back. We're both going to make great heroes, May, he said. Sure, but you'll never be better than me, Midoriya. At that, Midoriya smiled and disappointed. You looked at him confused and said, I didn't mean to offend you. You stopped talking when he smiled and nodded his head. And so you continued walking towards the school. I didn't understand him, you thought. May, I'm going to be the #1 hero one day, like All Might. It's been my dream since childhood. At first, you frowned, but then you understood what he was trying to say. Okay, you said. You said I'll never be better than you, but It doesn't matter, you said calmly. There are people I want to protect. I don't care what happens to me as long as they're okay. Midoriya then looked at you. But I also promised someone important to me that I would be the best, you said and looked at him determinedly. After that, you smiled politely and said, Looks like we're rivals from now on. He nodded and you continued walking towards the school. That's weird. You were standing in front of the huge Class 1A door. Unlike Midoriya, who was visibly nervous, you were staring at the door with determination. This is where it all starts. You thought and opened the door. The first thing you noticed, and you didn't like it, it was the tall boy with glasses from the exam in your class. He was arguing with some character. "Take your feet off the table!" the tall one shouted. "What?" The other guy asked, still smiling. "Don't you think that's disrespecting the principal of the carpenter?" he said. "Disrespect the carpenter? What's wrong with him?" you thought as you looked at the tall guy in confusion. You rolled your eyes and entered the classroom. "That's you!" the tall guy said as he approached you. "Yes, and?" You looked at him. "My name is Shinya Ida, from Sumeru Private Academy," he said, holding out his hand to you. "I don't care about your name." Fudge. "I don't care about your name. What do you want from me?" You crossed your arms and asked him. "One of the things you were known for in the base is that you don't forgive." I'm sorry for how I treated you and that boy," you said, referring to Midoriya. "And you should be," you said. "Now, what do you want from me?" You and that boy realized that was more to that exam, didn't you? He asked. "Ha!" You looked at him confused. "Since he fought those big robots, what was the reason?" "Me? I found one of them because I felt like fighting. But yeah, obviously a hero should fight a villain without thinking about the prize." You said, confused. He looked at the floor. "I feel stupid to admit it, but you're better than me," he said. "Of course I am." "Do you know where that boy is?" "I want to apologize to him," he asked you. You showed him that with your head towards the door from which Midoriya was listening to your conversation in fear. At that moment, everyone turned their eyes from you to Midoriya. The guy Ida had been arguing with a little while ago was smiling evilly the whole time. He seems to like what you were saying. However, the moment he looked towards the door and saw Midoriya, his smile turned into an angry expression, just by his face. You could tell that he and Midoriya already knew each other, and then they probably didn't have a very friendly relationship. When you realized that this guy wasn't going to do anything to Midoriya, he went back to the table and sat down. "You must be Mei, the girl who destroyed the big robot." "I'm Karu. This is my sister Haruko." A blonde boy and a girl approached you. "Yep, it's me. Nice to meet you." "Okay, I want to do that one." "That's a great achievement and unbelievable." "Thank you," you said and smiled politely. "Go somewhere else if you want to play best friends." You turned into the source of the voice and saw a man in a sleeping bag. "This is a hero school," he said, after which he started to unzip the sleeping bag. He pulled out one hand and drank some strange juice. Or, I didn't know what it is. I'm sorry. "It's your new teacher, Shoto Aizawa. He's a hero who must hide from his media, so you probably haven't heard of him." Keiko explained the situation to you. "You've never been particularly interested in heroes, so you only knew about some of them. All Might, Endeavor, and a few others. He's our sensei. I'm disappointed." You muttered. "Okay, so it took you 8 seconds to shut up," he said, getting up and out of his sleeping bag. "Time is limited. You kids don't think logically at all," he said. Someone is overthinking, you said, softly mimicking him. I'm your teacher, Shoto Ozawa. It might be a little sudden, but put these on and come to the field, he said, putting some clothes out of his sleeping bag. What the? I guess that's what he did. Now, we will have a short test of power, said Ozawa-sensei. A test for power? What about a graduation party? Orientation? A girl with short brown hair asked. If you want to become heroes, forget about such nonsense, he replied callously. Rude. You thought you were annoyed looking at him, but decided not to say anything. Whatever. You thought and asked, what will the test be like? He ignored you and continued to say, you'll do this in elementary school. You did this in elementary school, didn't you? Physical exercise, aka PE. Where you can't use your quirk. The state also takes into account the results of kids who don't have quirks, or who doesn't use them, he explained. You never went to primary school. That is, you probably did before you were taken to the base, but your memory wasn't erased. Bakugo, you finished second in the list of the practical exam, didn't you? He asked. Everyone, including you, looked towards the guy Ida was arguing with. So, his name is Bakugo, huh? He thought. In elementary school, that was the best achievement, Ozawa added another question. 67 meters. Okay, now try your quirk, Ozawa said. I have a question, Ida raised his hand. What? Ozawa asked disinterestedly. Bakugo was second on the list. Wouldn't that make sense to ask the person first on the list to demonstrate, he asked. May. Ozawa, like the rest of the class, looked at you. You assumed Ozawa thought your quirk couldn't help throw the ball. It's fine, you answered. Bakugo frowned and looked at you. You could see anger and jealousy in his eyes. For the first time in his life, he was second at something. Die! He shouted as he threw the ball using the explosion. Die? You looked at him confused. 703 meters. As I would read the number written on his cell phone. You watched the amazement. Such a score. Unbelievable. You thought as you looked at him, then looked away as you realized you were staring. You weren't the only one in the class who was amazed at his score. He sized up everyone in the class, and his eyes landed on you. Beat this, he thought. May, it's your turn, Ozawa said, looking at you. You nodded your head and received the ball. You still weren't sure how you planned to use your quirk to throw the ball. Still, you had a strong desire to have a score higher than Bakugo's. I can't, you muttered angrily. As much as you hate it, none of your quirks can help. But if you looked at the ball and tried to determine its weight, it's worth a try. You said quietly and prepared to throw the ball. You used a quirk, weather manipulation, to create a strong wind. He was so strong that the other could barely stand. You felt a rush of adrenaline and threw the ball, and the wind carried it to the sky. 850 meters. 850 meters, Ozawa said, showing the cell phone with the number written on it to the rest of the class. As impressed as they were when they saw Bakugo's score, they were even more impressed when they saw yours. You smiled proudly and looked at Bakugo. There was anger in his eyes, and you... And you liked that look. At that moment, he decides to beat you. Also, anyone who fails these tests will be expelled from the academy, Ozawa said. He said it like it was the most normal thing. You weren't worried, though, because you were sure you would pass every test. You noticed that Midori was very nervous, so You approached him. Okay, the first one. We're doing the nicest part, so. Midoriya smiled weakly and looked at you. You could see the fear in his eyes, but you didn't know what else to say or do to comfort him. This isn't fair. It's only the first day of school. It's not fair even it's not the first day of school. A girl with short brown hair, I said. Natural disasters. Great accent. Selfish villains. Accidents. Great accidents. Selfish villains. Accidents whose place and time cannot be predicted. Japan is full of injustice, Ozawa said. The lecture is starting, he thought. Hey, Kayo, what do you think about this? You asked Kayo in your mind, completely ignoring what the professor was saying. Sounds like a lie to me, she answered. Exactly, you said fast. Try to pass anyway, she ordered you. Of course, you replied and smiled kindly. May, are you listening? Ozawa interrupted your conversation. You just nodded slightly and continued to look at him with a smile. Let's move on, he said. Sprint 50 meters. You were racing against some redhead girl. Her quirk isn't something that can help you in the race, so you beat her easily with a quirk cat. Your time was 4.13 seconds. You were interested in the race that followed, Bakugo versus Midoriya. You were interested in them. Then Ozawa was good enough to put them in the same race. You were sure Bakugo would win because Midoriya had such consequence after using his quirk. So you were sure he wouldn't use it. 4.13 seconds. You cringed when you heard Bakugo's score. It was same as yours. However, instead of frowning, you gave that psychopathic smile as you looked at it. You felt the need to beat him at that moment more than ever. There were some other tests, but I don't think I need to write them each in. You've seen My Hero Academia, so they do other tests too. I'll tell you the results now, Ozawa said. I won't tell each one separately, but I will tell all the results at once, he explained. You looked at the result hologram to see your name in third place. Third place? He thought. First is Momo Yaoyorozu. Second is Todoroki. Shoto. Bakugo is fourth, and Midoriya. You read each name carefully, and finally you found Midoriya's name. In last place. He's the last one? Huh? You muttered. How stupid, you said quickly and rolling your eyes. You were sure the whole expression thing was a lie. And even if it was true, All Might wouldn't let Midoriya be expelled, so you didn't worry. By the way, I lied about the last part. Last place potentially penalty. As I was said calmly. I knew! You thought proudly. Then you looked at your name again, which was in third place. If I barely score as well with 6 quirks as they do with me, how miserable would I be without them? You muttered. You hoped no one heard what you said. No one was looking at you, so you assume they haven't heard. You clenched your fist and looked angry at the floor. Although it was not easy to get a third place, you were not proud. You didn't even hear what Ozawa said before he left. May? Keiko called you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't make it first place, you said in your mind. It's no problem. Just don't worry. Their place is good too. She comforted you. I guess, you muttered and looked up. Now, I just need to practice to get to first place. you said positively. Exactly. Now go rest, Keiko said in agreement. Home sweet home, you said after throwing your backpack on the floor. I'll do my homework study first. I want to sleep. I want to win first place next time. I have to go train. I think I'll just watch TV or be on social media. First, I'm going to make something to eat. I'm starving. Let's do food because you'll probably be starving after school. I walk through the door like a normal person, Oma shouted, entering the classroom. You had already received information from Keiko that you would be doing something with him today, so you weren't surprised. By the way, I like the picture. Me waiting for the answer. My friend solving a hard math question. It's totally me. No, you didn't walk through the door like a normal person, you said, looking at him. All Might? He really works here. He really works here as a teacher? Everyone was surprised and happy that he was there. You rolled your eyes at their comments. You continued to sleep because you didn't get enough sleep last night. Do normal heroes train with me today? He said. Today you will learn the meaning of the word hero. Let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. What we'll be doing today is combat training. At that, you woke up and looked at him. Put on your costumes and come to the field, he ordered. What does your costume look like? I really like this one. Or this one. I may regret it. I'll do like heels. I'm guessing this will be like the winter, fall and winter. This one's like gonna be like spring and summer. So, like that. Okay. Again, the picture. Taken so you have to make a new one. King Explosion Murder. Lord Explosion Murder. It's weird. After a few minutes, you found yourself on the court in the costume you choose. You were talking to Uraka when you saw Midoriya. Deku! Uraka smiled and ran towards him, and you slowly followed her. Your costume is great. I should have written a wish too. I ended up in the tight overalls. It's a bit embarrassing, she said. You walked over to Midoriya and whispered in his ear. Tell her she looks pretty. You couldn't see his face because of the mask, but you knew he was blushing. I mean, you look beautiful. He muttered, looking at Uraka. When he told her she was beautiful, she blushed too. So, who do you think you're going to fight? You asked. I don't know. I hope it's not someone strong, Uraka replied with a slight smile. I don't know about you, but I'm in a fighting mood, you said, looking up at the sky. You will be split into villains and heroes to fight 2 versus 2 inside the building. All Might quickly explained. How will we tell who won and who lost? Momo asked. Can we fight the robots again? Baku added. How are we going to share? There were a lot of questions that All Might didn't answer. Listen to me now. The situation is that the villains have hidden a nuclear weapon somewhere in the building. The heroes will try to solve it with the information. There were more questions, but you were no longer interested in about anything. Who do you think I will fight? You asked Keiko. in your mind? I don't know, she answered. You know everything, KO. Look, I have 2 quirks. One of them is that I can read people's minds. But here's no one knows who's going to fight who, she explained. How do you use a quirk if you're dead? You asked. I don't know, she answered. How am I talking to you? This whole quirk thing doesn't make sense. Story of how quirks came about does not make sense. So why should this? You don't need to be angry, KO. Why are you so nervous? You thought he was hiding something, but decided not to question it. Shut up, you rolled your eyes at her. Comment. You're bored. You are boring. You told her and closed your eyes. Teams are determined randomly. You fell into a team with a red-haired girl you used to race with. Hey, I'm Mei Yusugi. You walked up to her and smiled kindly. I didn't ask your name, she answered. You did not remove the smile from her face and said, since we're going to be on a team together, I should at least know your name. My name is Yoki Morishita, she said. Hopefully I did that right. She's probably another OC. Well, I can't say I'm glad to meet you, because I'm not. But it's good to know your name, Mori. You told her with a steady smile. She just rolled her eyes and looked at her hand. My quirk is called Illusion. As the name suggests, I can create illusions of anything. What's your quirk? She asked. So you want to talk to me? Okay, quirk 1, Spirit. Allows me to pass through objects, peoples, and things. Quirk 2, Return to Life. Allows me to bring the dead back to life and talk to them. Quirk 3, Hand Sword allows me to turn my hand into a blade. 4th quirk, Cat. I have cat ears and tail. I can do everything a cat can, including the ability of high jump, the ability to land on feet, and excellent hearing. I also have one weakness. I am very interested in new and shiny things. 5th quirk, Gas Control. I can control all gases, smoke, oxygen, and such. And 6th quirk, Weather Manipulation. I control the weather, like rain, sun, lightning, and such. You try to explain the function of each of your quirk as best as you can. She and a few other people around the 2 of you looked at you like you were crazy. What? What? He was confused. You just said you have 6 damn quirks? She said, annoyed. Yeah? Well, I know it's unusual, but it's true. He told her. It's true? Mei has 6 quirks, Kaoru said as he joined the conversation. Exactly! And Kaoru saw her in action. And she was amazing, Haruko said. Oh, hi! You rated them. Mei. Hey, she said. The team of Midoriya and Bakugo fight first. You weren't paying attention to their teammates, so now you were the only interested in the 2 of them. You knew they were going to fight one-on-one, and you desperately wanted to see the fight, even if one of them died in it. You were both amazed and disappointed at the same time to see how the fight ended. You were blown away by Bakugo's explosion as well as Midoriya's strength. And in the end, the fight was over. Midoriya pushed the ceiling several floors above him with all of his might so that Uraraka can take the weapon, and then the whole thing was over. While most watched and owed at the power Midoriya used to break the ceiling, Uda said tiredly, "How boring." After that comment, everyone looked at you in confusion. The next fight was yours. You and Morishita versus Kaoru and Haruko. What's your plan? We're playing the villains, I swear. Just have this. This movie is all one thing. I'll be guarding. Let's see what she can do. Oh my god, the picture up here. Let's read the picture first before we continue. When people keep shipping the girl you like with the guy that bullied you all your life. The I'm confused on how that works. Okay, back to the roleplay. Okay, the story. The plan is, you started to explain to her, but she stopped you. No plan. We'll both be here, waiting, she said. No, you answer calmly. This is the only place where we're sure they'll come. I don't want you wandering off somewhere while I'm here fighting two people, or vice versa. Vice versa, she said. I understand that line of thinking, but it wouldn't be safe to fight it here. You said, trying to get her to listen to you. Why? She said. We don't know what their quirks is. Maybe they can destroy the weapon, you explained. In that case, they lose, she said. How can you be sure of that? You asked. Then you pricked up your ears and heard something. They're coming, she said. That's perfect. It's not okay if you don't give me a good reason why I can't do that. I'm going to them, he said. Alright, the reason is, she started to explain that you were, when a female screamed, it was heard. What was that? You asked. I created a monster illusion. You should hold them till the time runs out, she explained. How boring, he said. After that, your quirk turned one hand into a blade and ran to Karu, who was about to put his hands on the weapon. You have the blade, or rather, your hand, 1 millimeter from his neck. Move, and I'll kill you, you told him, looking at him seriously. May? I couldn't wait to fight you. I know I'm better than you, he shouted. Ha! He looked at him confused. Fight me. Alright, I'll fight you. But there's one condition. You said without any expression on your face. What condition? He asked. You see, fighting under these conditions is important to me, you said without blinking. We will fight until one of us dies. What the fuck? He opened his eyes wide and looked at you like you were crazy. His knees were shaking, but he had the same brave look he had a moment ago. What is wrong? You asked. After that, you moved your smile and you no longer had a single expression on your face. I agree, he said firmly. You couldn't help but laugh at that. After a few seconds of laughing, you looked at him again with a psychopathic eyes and smiled. In that case, let's get started. As soon as you said that, Kittle disappeared and appeared in front of you with a dagger in his hand. He swung at your neck. You slipped away in a second. Marcia barely followed you with her eyes. You're fast, but my quirk is speed. There's no way you could be faster than me, he shouted confidently as he attached you with his dagger. Let's get a sip of tea real quick to keep me away from yawning. Is that right? You asked, wiping the smile off your face. The next time he attacked you, you didn't manage to get away. But luckily for you, he stabbed you in the shoulder, not the heart. He smiled again. But this time, his whole body shattered. And before he could do anything, you used your quirk hand sword and cut off his hand. Oh god. That's really horrifying. He started screaming hard because it's not like it doesn't hurt. At his scream, you only smiled even more and put the dagger from your shoulder. May, stop. This has gone too far, All Might shouted over the loudspeaker. When you heard that, you just walked up to Keru and put the blade in front of his neck. He was sitting in the corner of the room and had nowhere to run. May! All Might shouted again, but you completely ignored him. Moshira started to run towards you, but before she could do anything, you turned your hand to normal and took out a white ribbon from your pocket. You should use it to mark the loser. You wrapped tape around his legs and then turned to Morsha and looked at her blankly. How much time is left? You asked. 2 minutes. I see. I'm going to get his sister. I won't kill her. I don't plan to kill him either. You sound like you said, looking at her. Everyone, including her, thought you were going to kill him. You sighed deeply and headed to the door. Wait! She ran after you and took your hand. I wrapped your wound, she said. No need, you replied. Take care of him instead. You ordered her, so she nodded. You walked out the door and down the stairs to see Haruko fighting the illusion. I thought she understood by now. May, what are you planning to do? Kako asked you. I'll try to create a poison gas, you answered. Are you sure about that? You learned how to create it, she asked. Ever since the entrance exam ended, you've been practicing using the quirk every day. We will see. You took a deep breath and started blowing. Dark red smoke was coming out of your mouth. When he appeared, you tried to control him. Then it worked. Haruko was engrossed in her illusion that she didn't even notice the smoke approaching her from behind. And as soon as she inhaled it, she fainted. You ran to her and caught her before she fell. After that, you tied her hands and feet and took her back to Marasha. She was a little surprised that you came back soon. We won, you said proudly and smiled kindly. You're back to normal, Morishita muttered. What do you mean? You asked, but she didn't answer you. Answer or kill you. We're going to do. Doesn't say anything. We're almost done. Oh. This is the end. That's it for this episode. I'm sorry it was short, but I didn't have much inspiration. Also, I'm sorry if someone didn't understand exactly what was happening. I will certainly put in more efforts, but now on. Anyways, thank you for playing this quiz, and see you in the next part. Bye. So, Marsha is jealous. Oh, hello.
Goodbye.